oral questions. Questions orales. The honourable member for Thornhill.
The economic update released by the Liberals' costly coalition failed on every metric to address the cost of living crisis created by these Liberals' out-of-control spending. We had two demands: no new taxes on workers and seniors, and no new spending unless it was matched by equal savings. The newest inflationary plan triples the tax on home heating, on gas, on groceries, and added $21 billion to the inflationary spending that will drive up the price of everything. They ignored the one responsible thing Canadians needed. How could they have missed that part?
Yeah. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, global inflation is impacting the world's economies, but Canada's strong fiscal position is helping us make sure that life is more affordable and that we're growing an economy that works for everyone. Today, 11 million Canadian households will be receiving hundreds of dollars in their bank account because of the doubling of the GST benefit that's happening today. That includes over 50% of seniors, Madam Speaker, and students are going to save thousands of dollars because we're permanently eliminating interest on student loans. At the same time, Canada's workers are going to benefit from investments that we're making in clean technology that is already creating sustainable, clean jobs for everyone.
Honourable member for Thornhill.
The check is in the mail, but so are the credit card bills, the highest credit card bills that Canadians have ever seen. Spending is up 30% over pre-COVID levels, $500 billion plus. The 40% of all of those new spending measures had nothing to do with COVID. That's over $200 billion. And don't forget the fancy hotels and the Liberal insider contracts that, of things we didn't need and things we didn't even get. Canadians are paying for all of this with a Liberal inflation tax caused by these Liberals' spending. That hurts families, it hurts seniors, it hurts workers. How could they be so?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Deputy Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, the fall economic statement shows that we're continuing to chart a fiscally responsible course. Canada has the lowest net debt and the lowest deficit to GDP ratios in the G7. Since the previous budget, we have decreased our deficit by $16 billion. And there are 500,000 more Canadians working today than before the pandemic, making Canada's economic growth the strongest in the G7. Investing in Canada, investing in Canadian workers is exactly the right decision, and that's what we're doing, Madam Speaker.
The honourable member for Thornhill.
Canada actually has the lowest projected growth of any advanced economy in the G7. It's on the 25th page of their last budget. Wow. The spending of this government, 30% higher. Do you think it's irresponsible that an inflation tax eating into paychecks of middle-class Canadians? 1 in 5 families are cutting down on their diets. The Prime Minister spends $6,000 a night on the most expensive hotel room in London, while Canadians can't even pay their rent. Yeah. They know they see the hypocrisy that every other Canadian sees. Yep. Why won't the member just finally condemn it?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, I am happy to talk about the fall economic statement because it puts forward a plan that grows our fiscal advantage by continuing to reduce our debt to GDP ratio, creates new sustainable jobs through the Canada Growth Fund, reduces credit card transaction fees for small business, accelerates Canada's clean transition, commercializes Canada's world-class research and development, invests in youth employment, cuts taxes for small business. We're making life more affordable. We're growing an economy that works for everyone, Madam Speaker.
L'honorable député de Mégantic-L'Érable.
The honourable member for Mégantic-L'Érable. Madam Speaker, the Finance Minister's big communication exercise showed once again that the Liberals are completely out of touch with the lives of Canadians. They failed miserably to present a solution to the out-of-cost spending by the Liberal government. The Conservatives had two demands: no new taxes and no new spending without matching savings. They're proposing even more spending, which will make the cost of living crisis even worse. $21 billion in new spending. Why did they refuse to reverse the tax increases?
L'honorable ministre.
The Honourable Minister.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I'd like to thank my colleague for his question, and I'm very pleased to have an opportunity to talk about our statement. Today, 11 million Canadian households will be receiving GST benefits in their bank accounts. The Conservative members talk about tax increases, but I'm talking about tax credits. A doubling of the GST benefit for 11 million Canadians, that means real money in the pockets of people who need it. The honourable member for Mégantic-L'Érable. The reality, Madam Speaker, is that there is a check in the mail and a higher credit card cost, and it's higher than people have seen in years in Canada. Why is that? Because this inflationary spending means that the cost of everything is going up. It costs more for gas, to buy food, to heat our homes, Madam Speaker. We had two demands to help all Canadians. No new taxes as of January 1st. And by not tripling the carbon tax. Why are the Liberals refusing to help all Canadians? Why are they continuing with their inflationary taxes? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. We know that 8 out of 10 families are receiving more in tax credits and they're paying for the pollution tax. But I don't think that the Conservatives read our statement yesterday. We are going to be helping more than 500,000 Quebec workers with our new benefit for workers. That means $1,200 for a single Canadian who is working hard. Why, Madam Speaker, are the Conservatives opposed to helping Canadian workers? The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Madam Speaker, immigration is an asset, but with the new thresholds announced by the Liberals, it's clear that once again they're completely disconnected from the reality of Quebec. They seem to forget that it's Quebecers who, on the ground, offer all the services that newcomers have a right to expect, be it with respect to housing, health, education, and Francization. Everything that allows them to integrate. Madam Speaker, why are the Liberals so anxious for Quebec to either exceed its capacity to integrate or for it to lose its political weight? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship. Madam Speaker, if Quebec wants to bring in more Francophone immigrants, we're here to help them. If Quebec wants to help offset the labour shortages, we're here to support the province. If Quebec wants more, we're always there to help them. But, Madam Speaker, Quebec has all of the tools it needs to bring in more Francophone immigrants, to help communities to grow, and to protect French. We're going to continue to be there to ensure that there are more immigrants in Quebec. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Madam Speaker, the problem is that the federal government doesn't listen to what Quebec wants. It throws out a figure, 500,000 immigrants, and they think that they've played their role. But immigration isn't just a number. It's about meeting people's needs. The federal government is unable to do its fair share of funding housing and health care. It's unable to process permanent residency and citizens' applications within a century and a half. It was unable to provide or print a photo with photo ID for passports. So the federal machine is broken. Can't the federal government start by fixing the machine before they add another 500,000 people? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Madam Speaker, as the member opposite knows full well, the Canada-Quebec Agreement gives the province the exclusive authority for selecting the majority of their immigrants. We've always respected Quebec's jurisdiction in terms of immigration, and we will always work in close cooperation with them to support their objectives, to welcome the immigrants that they need to ensure that French remains vital and companies have their workers. The Honourable Member for Rosemont-la-Patrie. Madam Speaker, in the NDP, we know that the government has to be there to help people, especially when times are tough. Families across the country are having difficulties. Everything's more expensive because of the greed of the government, and people are waiting hours before they get access to health care in the hospitals. The Liberals say we're going to a recession, but they haven't fixed the employment insurance system. Times are tough, and Liberals aren't doing enough. Why are the Liberals turning their backs on Canadians in need? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister. Madam Speaker, we're here for vulnerable Canadians. In yesterday's economic statement, we detailed several measures, including the doubling of the GST benefit that will benefit 11 million Canadian families today. The member from the NDP is talking about doing more to help Canadians. We can't fuel inflation, but we do have targeted measures in order to help Canadians, the most vulnerable Canadians.
Griesbach.
Madam Speaker, it's no secret that grocery chains and big oil companies are making record profits, all while Canadians can't pay the bills. Not once in the government's fall economic statement did they acknowledge that corporate greed is driving up the cost of everything. The Liberals and Conservatives are standing by and doing nothing while the wealthiest CEOs take advantage of hard-working Canadians. Families are doing everything right, Madam Speaker, but falling further behind. When will this government stop buddying up with CEOs and start working for Canadians?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, global inflation is affecting all of the world economies, but Canada's strong fiscal position is helping us make life more affordable. Today, 11 million households will be receiving money in their bank accounts thanks to the doubling of the GST benefit, and we're continuing to make sure that everyone continues to pay their fair share. We're doing this by implementing the Canada Recovery Dividend, by taxing share buybacks in public companies, and by strengthening anti-tax avoidance measures. It's the right thing to do. We're going to keep doing it, Madam Speaker.
Yeah, I remember Calgary Forest Lawn.
Yesterday's fall economic statement continues the inflationary spending of this costly coalition and fails to stop tax increases. Temperatures in Alberta have dropped below zero as the province gets blanketed in snow. Albertans are firing up their furnaces and are seeing their gas bills soar as the carbon and inflation taxes eat up their paychecks. Why won't the Liberals give Canadians some relief and cancel their plans to triple the tax on home heating?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance.
Madam Speaker, Canadian workers need and deserve a robust industrial policy that will deliver good, sustainable, clean jobs. The Canada Growth Fund will help deliver billions of dollars of new investment required to reduce our emissions, grow our economy, and create those high-paying jobs. We are replacing inefficient fossil fuel subsidies with major investment credits for clean technologies and clean hydrogen. We are creating the Sustainable Jobs Training Centre to help Canada's unions ensure that Canada's workforce is ready to prosper in our growing clean economy.
A member of Calgary Forest Lawn.
Madam Speaker, the Liberals are also hiding the fact that they're going to hit workers with a second carbon tax by the end of this winter. That's going to cost them an extra $1,300. And inflationary spending, the Liberal inflation tax and their carbon tax are increasing the cost of essentials while sending more Canadians to the food bank. While the costly coalition attacks Canada's energy sector, workers, seniors, and families are paying that price. Why won't the Liberals give Canadians relief and cancel their plans to triple the taxes on home heating?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, we know there's an affordability challenge across the country, Madam Speaker, and that's why my residents were so happy that the Finance Minister introduced a number of measures to address the affordability challenge. And Madam Speaker, speaking of affordability, that's why it's so important that the Climate Action Incentive puts more money in people's pockets. 8 out of 10 families will benefit. And in fact, in the member's home province, that's going to mean $1,100 up to $1,100 for a family of 4, Mr. Speaker. We're delivering on affordability and we're fighting climate.
The Honourable Member of Kelowna Lake Country.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Well, the feedback from my community on the fall economic statement was not positive. Yesterday, including someone who asked how long they will have to wait for this nightmare to end, and another saying that the Liberals have a boot in our back. On this side of the House, we have been calling on the government continually to stop their inflationary tax increases, and of course we've seen that this is not what the government is doing. Why won't the Liberals cancel their plans to triple the taxes on gas, triple the taxes on groceries, and triple the taxes on home heating?
L'Honorable Secrétaire parlementaire pour le ministre.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I won't get into the various ways that the member has her information wrong. Rather, I would like to talk about the fall economic statement of yesterday, which will help Canadian workers in particular, which will help students who will see an elimination of the interest on their loans, that will help families that are having difficulty buying groceries, that are seeing the cost of things rise due to the global inflation that Canada is not sheltered from. We have a real plan to support Canadians.
L'Honorable Député de Kelowna Lake Country.
The Honourable Member for Kelowna Lake Country.
Well, if you listen to the Liberals, you would think that Canadians have never had it so good. And they always list off all these new benefits that they've created for people. Well, who pays for those benefits? People pay for it out of taxes. And then the government takes that, gives them a little bit back, and then they pat themselves on the back. And that's what's playing out here, Madam Speaker. Again, why won't the Liberals cancel their plans to triple taxes on gas, groceries, and home heating?
L'honorable secrétaire parlementaire.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Ministre.
Madam Speaker, we know that global inflation is affecting everyone, although Canada is in a pretty good position to be able to help those that are most affected. In fact, inflation in Canada is 6.9%, while it's higher than 10% in most in Europe. It's higher than 8% in the United States. And you know, we put forward a plan that is fiscally responsible and helps invest in making life more affordable. The Conservative Affordable Plan is very straightforward. They want to stop fighting climate change, and they want to tap into the pensions of seniors right when they need it the most. It's not a responsible plan, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord. Madam Speaker, the economic update brought down yesterday doesn't address the cost of living. We told the government that as there's some very high deficit will have a direct impact on Canadians. Significant consequences. The government didn't listen, and we've seen this is the worst inflation in 40 years. Can the government this time listen to us to guarantee that won't be any new spending, no tax increases? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Now, I can talk about the deficit all day if the Conservatives want, but Madam Speaker, we have the lowest deficit of all the G7 countries. The economic statement yesterday shows that the deficit is 1.3%. We have the lowest debt as well among all G7 countries, while we have the strongest economic growth. Madam Speaker, I think that Conservatives should take a closer look at the figures. The Honourable Member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord. But what my colleague is saying is not dealing with inflation. It's the worst in 40 years. That's why 1.5 million Canadians are turning to food banks in a month. Yesterday, the Prime Minister tried to bring down a statement, but the problem is that it doesn't resolve the cost of living crisis. Can the Liberals modify their statement to ensure that there won't be any new spending and or any tax increases? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Madam Speaker, the economic statement includes measures that will put money directly into the pockets of Canadians. Contrary to what the Conservatives are proposing, which means taking money away from the pensions of our seniors, or to attack the EI system at a time when we're facing economic instability globally. That is irresponsible. We are here for Canadians, Madam Speaker. The Honourable Member for Joliette. Madam Speaker, this week the heads of Quebec's hospital emergency rooms stated that the healthcare network were at the breaking point. And it's in this context that on Monday, the Minister of Health is meeting with his Quebec and provincial counterparts to discuss health transfers. But yesterday's economic update doesn't plan even a single penny between now and 2028. Madam Speaker, the breaking point in our hospitals is today, not in 2028, not next spring, today. Why is the minister going to show up in Vancouver empty-handed? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Merci, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I'd like to thank my colleague for his question and for drawing attention to a very important topic. Canadians expect us to work in cooperation with the provinces and territories to find solutions to the challenges our public healthcare system is facing. Our government will continue to support our investments of $72 billion, and we will be focusing on the transfer in addition to additional increases. The Honourable Member for Joliette. Well, thank you, Madam Speaker, but if this is very important, the Minister of Finance is the one that should be sent to Vancouver on Monday to meet with the Ministers of Health, because she's the one who controls the purse strings. But she's already decided in her economic update that there won't be any increases to the health transfer in the short term. The Minister of Health, on the other hand, doesn't control health transfers. So finally on Monday, at the meeting of the ministers, is the federal government just going there to impose conditions? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Merci, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. That's not right. There are investments in dental care, and members in this House voted against that. The Minister of Health will be meeting with provincial and territorial counterparts next week to discuss how we will continue to work together to resolve the crisis of healthcare workers and to improve access to family health care services across the country, among other issues. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Peterborough South.
Madam Speaker, $20 billion of inflationary spending, massive tax hikes on everyday essentials, continued high inflation, a potential economic slowdown, all of this in one fiscal update. Are the Liberals aware of how badly they're failing?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of
Fall Economic
Finance.
Statement puts forward a plan that leverages our strong fiscal position while lowering our deficit by $16 billion. It also modernizes Canada's research facilities, strengthens Canada's anti-avoidance tax measures, makes life and housing more affordable while eliminating inefficient fossil fuel subsidies. Instead, we're investing in clean, sustainable jobs of the future that Canadian workers are going to help us all make happen. This is what it means to have a strong environment and a strong economy working hand in hand, and that's exactly what we're doing, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Northumberland, Peterborough South.
If only Canadians could eat that word salad. It has been observed that Liberals define compassion by how many people government helps. Conservatives define compassion by how many people government doesn't have to help. It seems like this Liberal government is intent on making everyone dependent on this government. Will this Liberal government finally show a little fiscal discipline, a little compassion, and relent on their tax hikes and let Canadians live their lives?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, our government has focused for the last 7 years on reducing poverty, and because of that, millions of Canadians have been lifted out of poverty. That includes children, that includes seniors. In fact, our legislative agenda this session is focused on compassion. It's making sure that kids under the age of 12 can get the dental care that they need. It's making sure that 11 million Canadian households get hundreds of dollars to help deal with the cost of living, because although inflation is a global phenomenon, Canada is in a good position to deal with it, so we're going to be there to help people instead of ignoring them like the Conservatives.
The Honourable Member for Haldimand, Norfolk.
Madam Speaker, the fall economic statement gets a failing grade. The House is burning down, and rather than the Liberals pouring water on the fire, they're pouring fuel on the flame. Spending is out of control, and it has led to inflation. 1.5 million Canadians have gone to the food bank last month, yet the Liberals still plan to triple their tax on groceries, home heating, and fuel. Will the Liberals cancel their plan to triple the tax on home heating, groceries, and fuel?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Speaker, as I've said before, Canadian households receive more money back in the credit than they pay on the price on pollution. And if the Conservatives were so concerned about helping Canadians through this winter, they would not have waited 30 seconds before saying that they were planning on voting against the fall economic statement and the measures that contained therein. We will be helping Canadian workers with money that will arrive in their pockets in the next few months. We're going to be helping Canadian families through the Canada Child Benefit. Madam Speaker, we are there for Canadians, and the Conservatives continue to vote.
Honourable Member for Haldimand, Norfolk.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Canadians know that this tax and spend Liberal government is not giving them back more money than they're taking from them. This government's carbon tax scheme will force millions of Canadians across this country to choose between heating their homes and eating food this winter. The carbon tax has failed to reduce emissions, and it is not protecting the environment. It is not an environmental plan. It is a tax plan. Is this government going to wait until people can't heat their homes this winter to finally cancel their plan to increase the taxes on fuel?
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, last week the Conservatives voted against our proposal to subsidize dental care for Canadian children. Last week the Conservatives voted against a one-time payment to Canadians who are having trouble paying the rent. And today they are attacking the measures that will support vulnerable Canadians once again. How is it that the Conservatives think that they can fool Canadians into believing that they care about them or their families.
The honourable member for Winnipeg Centre.
Thank you, Madam. Seniors were blindsided to learn that Lions Place, a non-profit seniors housing complex in my riding, was put up for sale, and they're worried that a for-profit buyer could increase the rents, pricing them out of their homes. All residents are calling for is a 90-day delay of the sale so that all levels of government can come to an agreement to protect this affordable housing community. Will the Liberals intervene to ensure that seniors living at Lions Place do not lose their homes?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Health.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And I want to take a moment to thank the member for the question. And this is an issue that is very, very important to those of us on this side of the House, and I would be pleased to have a sidebar conversation with the member about this exact case so that we can make sure that we can solve this issue that's important to that member. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The honourable member Churchill, Kiwana, Newcastle.
Madam Speaker, yesterday I did what Canadians expect of us. Media reported on a loophole billionaires like the Irvings have relied on for 50 years to get out of paying their taxes. So we in the NDP moved to immediately call on this government to close it. And then Liberals and Conservatives did what Canadians expect from them. They worked together to protect their billionaire buddies, not even letting me read the motion. So let's be clear. Every dollar billionaires cheat the system out of is a dollar withheld from Canadian workers and Canadian families for the services they need. Why are the Liberals okay with this?
Our Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, the member knows very well that I cannot comment on specific cases. But what I can say is that our entire social safety net depends on the principle of tax fairness and people paying their fair share. That's why this government, since 2015, has invested $1 billion to counter tax avoidance, and we will continue to do that, and it is yielding results. Just in response to the Panama Papers, which I know the member has raised before, there have been 900 individuals identified as subjects of concern by the CRA. There's hundreds of audits that are being looked into and closed as well. Thank you very much.
The honourable member for Egmont.
Madam Speaker, Canadians all across eastern Canada are still living with the devastating impacts from Hurricane Fiona. Rural communities in particular were hit hard. The school and fishing ports in the Evangeline region of my riding of Egmont had both destroyed during the storm, Madam Speaker. Now more than ever, they need to know how our government is going to stand by them and support the recovery of their communities. Can the Minister of Rural Economic Development tell this House and all Canadians how commitments from the fall economic statement from this government will ensure that we help our communities rebuild?
The Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank my friend and colleague from Egmont for the question, but more importantly for his work during these terrific times of Hurricane Fiona. The heartbreaking images that we've all seen from Hurricane Fiona, even though they may not be on the national news, they're burned in our hearts forever. And I want to assure everyone impacted that we're there to help them get back on their feet and on the road to recovery. We know it's a long road to recovery, and I was delighted in the fall economic statement to see the Deputy Prime Minister commit an additional $1 billion to the Disaster Financial Assistance Agreement with the provinces. Madam Speaker, I want to assure everyone impacted by this we are with them every step of
the honourable member for Peterborough South, Peterborough Kawartha.
Many Canadian children will not make it to their 18th birthday. Canada ranks 35 out of 38 in teen mental health and suicide. Do you know how many times the word mental health was mentioned in the federal economic statement? 3. Do you know what contributes to the worsening of mental health? Having to choose between heating and eating. That stress is downloaded to our children. Will the Liberals show some leadership and compassion and stop the planned tax hike on gas, groceries, and heating?
Good job.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of... the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank the member for her question. But, Madam Speaker, this government since 2015 has been committed to Canadian children and families. That is why this government implemented the CCB, and rather than cut like Conservatives did and cut checks to rich, wealthy Canadians, we put a plan in place that continues in today. We've listed 450,000 children out of poverty, 1.3 million families. Madam Speaker, we will be there for children and their families. Thank you.
The honourable member Peterborough Kawartha.
That is insulting. The 2020 UNICEF report, we are 35 out of 38. If that doesn't discuss these Liberals on teen mental health and suicide, shame on you. Shame on you. Credit card debt is sitting at $2,100. Canadians have admitted to maxing out their credit cards. What are they going to do now? This is not a luxury to heat your home and pay for food. Will they show leadership, compassion, and stop their planned triple of tax hikes on gas, heating, and groceries?
L'honorable secrétaire parlementaire.
Madam Speaker, I'm very upset about what has just happened in this House. It could only take a Conservative to ask 2 questions on mental health and then somehow make it about taxes or the price on pollution, Madam Speaker. Mental health is a serious...
Order. I'm sure that the honourable member had the opportunity to ask a question, and I'm sure that all members would want to hear the answer. The honourable parliamentary secretary from the top.
Madam Speaker, while the Conservatives heckle at how disgusting it is for me to be standing here, I think it is disgusting to convert a question on the mental health of our young people into some kind of triple gimmick. Madam Speaker, this is a serious issue. We care about the mental health of Canadians, and we will be there for them, and we won't make it a partisan issue.
The Honourable Member for Montmagny-Lisle, Kamouraska, Rivière-du-Loup. Madam Speaker, everything costs more. Food prices have risen by more than 10%. House prices have doubled since this Prime Minister took office. Diesel is now over $2.50 a litre in Quebec. Instead of helping families, this government wants to take more from workers' paychecks. All we're asking is for the government to not raise taxes. Will they do that in 2023? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Madam Speaker, it's my pleasure to continue to answer questions on the fall economic statement from yesterday. Today, Statistics Canada published new numbers that I'd like to share with this House. Canadians have created over 100,000 jobs in October. Salaries, Canadians' salaries have also increased by about 7%, and that salaries have been going up for many consecutive months. We're ensuring good, well-paying jobs for our citizens. The Honourable Member for Montmagny-Lisle, Kamouraska, Rivière-du-Loup. Madam Speaker, we're not living in the same world. Families are struggling and increasingly relying on credit cards to keep their heads above water and meet their basic needs. A recent Equifax survey shows that average credit card balances are at an all-time high in Canada. More than half of Canadians surveyed are concerned about their personal debt levels. They need a chance to catch their breath. Madam Speaker, will the Prime Minister listen to them and cancel the planned tax hikes in 2023? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Tourism. Madam Speaker, I agree with my Conservative colleague on one thing. Canadian households are struggling now. They have a hard time making ends meet, and that's why I don't understand why the Conservatives continue to vote against measures designed to address these Canadians. Madam Speaker, last week, a number of times, there were direct payments to Canadians that the Conservatives refused, and yesterday we put forward more measures. Today, 11 million Canadian households will receive a doubled GST credit, and that's important. The Honourable Member for Repentigny. This year, Canada approved the Baie du Nord oil project, and we found out that the Prime Minister will not be attending COP27 in Egypt on climate change. But it's not because he doesn't like to travel. This month alone, he is going to Cambodia, Indonesia, Thailand, and Tunisia. These are all important trips, but climate change that the other heads of state are going to address at COP27 is certainly important too. Why is he not going to COP? Is it because he is ashamed of his environmental record? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Madam Speaker, and we will be going to COP27 with our heads held high, a large delegation from Canada. Madam Speaker, $100 billion have been invested in climate change and building the new economy since 2015. $9.1 billion in our emissions reduction plan. Madam Speaker, that's being invested in electric vehicles, retrofitting homes and buildings, a clean electricity grid, and yes, Madam Speaker, reducing oil and gas emissions. Madam Speaker, we have a great plan, an action plan, and it's something that we will be taking to COP27.
The Honourable Member for Repentigny. Those are nice numbers, Madam Speaker, but Joe Biden will be present at COP27. So will Emmanuel Macron. The Prime Minister could even have taken the opportunity to meet his new UK counterpart, Mr. Sunak, in person for the first time. It's simple. More than 100 heads of state are expected to attend COP, including all of Canada's major allies, but not the Prime Minister. What's more important than going to the COP to talk about fighting climate change? Is there a Tim Hortons to open somewhere?
L'honorable secrétaire parlementaire.
Madam Speaker, as I mentioned previously, we are going to COP27 with one of the largest delegations to an international meeting in our history, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, we are going with our ambitious climate change and economic plan that will be enhanced by the fall economic statement that was announced yesterday, a growth fund, Madam Speaker, that is going to take us to new levels with clean technology, a $26 billion market, Madam Speaker, and we are going to catch that wave, Madam Speaker, and we are going to be in Egypt in full force. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
For Edmonton Manning.
Madam Speaker, government revenues have increased by $40.1 billion this year. This is not an economic growth. This is more taxes for Canadians on top of the increasing costs for essentials such as gas, groceries, and home heating. Why won't these Liberals give Canadians some relief and cancel their plan to triple taxes on gas, groceries, and home heating?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Deputy Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, we've said this plenty of times, but I think it bears repeating. The carbon price, the price on pollution, actually makes life more affordable for 8 out of 10. So if we followed the advice of the Conservatives, 8 out of 10 Canadian families would actually be worse off. And at the same time, that's not even dealing with the long-term costs of dealing with fires and floods and hurricanes. Madam Speaker, we're making investments today that are responsible, not just to make life more affordable, but to make sure that we're protecting the future for our kids.
Member for Saskatoon University.
Canadians are hurting. Given the out-of-control inflation is getting worse under these NDP Liberal costly coalition, Canadians are cutting back on food. Mums are watering down their milk for their kids. 1 in 5 Canadians are skipping meals because they can't afford to eat. While this Prime Minister is jetting away to London, staying at a $6,000 a night fancy hotel. Are you kidding me? Why won't the Liberals give Canadians some relief and cancel their plan to triple taxes on gas, groceries, and home heating?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Deputy Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, I just finished describing how our plan to price pollution actually makes life more affordable for 8 out of 10 Canadian families, but that's not all it does. It protects our future by making sure that we're continuing to fight climate change. But we are taking affordability seriously. We know that global inflation is affecting Canadians, but we're in a great position to deal with it. We have the lowest debt to GDP ratio in the G7. We've continued to reduce it, and that's why we're investing in Canadians with real money going to their bank accounts today. 11 million households, Madam Speaker. I wish the Conservatives supported kids to get dental care and supported vulnerable renters, but when they say that, their actions actually speak louder than their words.
The Honourable Member King-Vongham.
Madam Speaker, seniors are more intelligent than this government gives them credit for. Seniors are worse off today than they were 7 years ago. Our seniors built this country and deserve better. 40-year inflation highs and skyrocketing food prices, this Liberal government has implemented a failed plan that will force our seniors to use food banks and choose between eating and heating. The Liberals had a chance to triple the tax on gas and groceries and home heating that punishes seniors. Why did they do so?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. We recognize the challenges that seniors are facing, and our government has been there for them. And the member's right. Seniors are smarter. Seniors voted in this government because we've had their back since day one in 2015, Madam Speaker. Our government is helping seniors who are struggling by doubling the GST tax credit, the money going into bank accounts today. And I can tell you, Madam Speaker, the party opposite in their last election platform had zero for seniors, not a single policy. Voting against is not policy for seniors.
The Honourable Member for Pontiac. Madam Speaker, yesterday the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance tabled the Fall Economic Statement, which sets out our plan to grow our economy, to make life more affordable for Canadians, and to build a Canada where no one is left behind. Canada faces real challenges, we know that, but also real opportunities. So can the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Tourism tell us about the government's plan? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the Honourable Member for Pontiac for her work on the Finance Committee, but also as Chair of the Rural Caucus of our government. We will soon be launching the Canada Growth Fund, which will bring private capital to our rural and urban regions. We are also launching a new 30% tax credit for clean technologies, including clean hydrogen, because we know that the people of Pontiac and throughout Quebec want a green and fair transition.
Middlesex London.
Madam Speaker, Canadians are not feeling the relief that this government has promised. $500, $800, $2,000. These are the amounts of increases on mortgage alone that my constituents are reporting back to my office. And where do you think this money comes from? It comes directly off the table of Canadians. This government's new spending is not helping Canadians, it's actually making it worse. Why won't the Liberals give Canadians some relief and cancel their triple tax on gas, groceries, and home heating?
Thank you, Secretary, to the Deputy Prime Minister and to the Minister of Finance.
Focused on making life more affordable for low-income renters, for Canadians under the age of 12 who need to go to the dentist, and for 11 million Canadian households who are getting GST benefits in their bank accounts today. Yet our country's strong fiscal position allows us to do more. We are permanently eliminating interest on Canada's student loans. We are creating a new quarterly Canada Workers Benefit and a new Canada Growth Fund that will help us reduce emissions, create sustainable jobs, and attract private investment. In fact, the new Labour survey was out today, 108,000 new jobs in Canada just last month, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Bow River.
Farmers in my riding are paying hundreds, if not millions of dollars in carbon tax. The Western Irrigation District's year-over-year cost for fuel alone jumped by 53%. The fuel runs irrigation that delivers water so crops that families can get Canadian-grown food on their table. The rebates this government always talks about don't even count to 0.1% of the cost. That's if the farms qualify. So why won't the Liberals give Canadian farmers some relief, cancel their plans to triple taxes on gas, groceries, and home heating?
L'honorable secrétaire parlementaire pour le ministre de l'Agriculture et de l'Agroalimentaire.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank the honourable member for his question. We've always been there for farmers. We've always supported farmers. Unlike the Conservatives, we didn't cut $500 million for farmers. We put $500 million back into the budgets for farmers. Exactly. And as the honourable member well knows, there is a fuel rebate charge that farmers get back for the price on pollution. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The honourable member for Kenora.
Madam Speaker, the economic update released by this costly coalition only features more of the same reckless spending policies that have driven up inflation on Canadians. Now people are worried and wondering about how they're going to be able to fill their gas tanks, heat their home this winter, or even put food on the table, Madam Speaker. So when will the Liberals finally stop their spending and cancel their plan to triple the taxes on gas, groceries, and home heating.
Parliamentary Secretary to the Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance.
Madam Speaker, if we cancel the price of pollution, it would make life less affordable for 8 out of 10 Canadian families. Our fiscal update has focused on making life affordable for Canadian families, as has our parliamentary agenda for this entire session. We really hope that the Conservatives will come on side and look for solutions instead of just suggesting that we cut into seniors' pensions and suggesting that fighting climate change just isn't worth doing, because both of those things are wrong and it's not responsible policy.
The Honourable Member for Sudbury.
Yesterday's fall economic statement showed that this government has a strong and concrete plan to help Canadians by investing in workers and jobs. FedDev Ontario has been working with small businesses all across Southern Ontario to provide support that will help them grow. Can the Minister of FedDev Ontario please tell this House about the work she is doing to support Canadians in Southern Ontario?
The Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to thank my honourable colleague for that very important question. The investments that we have made and continue to make through the fall economic statement will grow the Canadian economy. We are drawing investors through the Canada Growth Fund, and we are upscaling and training workers towards a low-carbon economy through a sustainable jobs plan. The economic future for Southern Ontario is solid. It will be inclusive, diversified, and enable Canadians to reach their full potential. This is an economy that works for all Canadians. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable for North Island, Powell River.
Madam Speaker, the Union of Veterans Affairs Employees has been raising the alarm about service delivery at Veterans Affairs Canada. They have serious concerns about the Minister's ability to eliminate the backlog, manage human resources, and his plan to outsource service delivery to a private contractor. Veterans tell me that VAC's quality of service has been slipping and that they and their families are the ones paying the price. Does this minister understand that veterans need him to step up or step out?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary, the Honourable Government House Leader, Parliamentary Secretary of the Government House Leader.
Thank you very much for that question to the to my colleague from North Island Powell River. We'll certainly look into this and get back to her. Caring for veterans has always been a priority of this government. We reinstated a number of the veteran services offices after they were closed by the previous government. We will continue to work with veterans. I sincerely hope, Madam Speaker, that this can be an issue that we work across party lines because our veterans deserve the best. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Saanich Gulf Islands.
Madam Speaker, the Honourable Minister of Transportation, I want to share with colleagues here what issue could possibly unite prairie grain farmers, the Grain Elevators Association, communities up and down the coast of Vancouver Island, and Coast Salish First Nations. It's the mismanagement coming out of the Port of Vancouver, Fraser, CN and CP, and the complete failure to be able to get prairie grain to a port on time, and that's why my communities have free parking for freighters that sit there while everybody loses money and the marine environment suffers. Please, Mr. Minister, please, what is the solution here? It's your portfolio.
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary, the Honourable Minister of Transport.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for that question. I want to thank my colleague. I just want to assure her and all Canadians that the issue of vessel traffic management at the Gulf Coast is very important to me and to our government. A few weeks ago, I was in Vancouver, where I met with the Port Authority, where I met with stakeholders, including shippers and ag producers. The global and domestic supply issues are causing a complicated matter at the port. Madam Speaker, soon we will be tabling a bill in the House of Commons to modernize how we govern our ports. We've also announced investment to digitize our supply chains to help the flow of goods and make them more efficient. Madam Speaker, our government is acting, and this will also relieve pressure on inflation, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much.
And that brings us to tabling of documents. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary of the Government House Leader. We have a point of order. The Honourable Member Peterborough.
Considerable discussion by the other side, and I think even might say it's misleading, the effect of the carbon tax on the